guys, I'm Ben and welcome to another episode of Album Explorations, Birthday Edition. Today we're going to have a look at my personal favorite album from one of my favorite German thrash bands, the mighty Coma of Souls from Teutonic legends, Kreator. So the reason for this episode is twofold. Firstly, it's the 32nd birthday of the release of the album. Well, it was the other day anyway. And secondly, I've wanted an excuse to talk about it on the channel for a while now, so here we go. Released in 1990, Coma of Souls was the band's 5th studio album, and by this stage, they'd already established their status as thrash legends, with the genre-defining Pleasure to Kill from 1986, which is probably my second favorite, and I absolutely love that album too. I love the drum sounds on it. It's so cool. The almost as good Terrible Certainty. I know some people prefer Terrible Certainty, but I think the songwriting is just a little better on Pleasure to Kill. Anyway, that's from 1987, and of course the highly revered Extreme Aggression, which is another killer album from 1989. It seemed like the band could really do no wrong over this period, and that excellence would continue on into Coma of Souls. This time, taking the refinements they'd made on Extreme Aggression and further streamlining them, also incorporating even more technicality and melodic elements while not sacrificing on any of the overall power and aggression and general ferocity. This was also the first album to feature guitarist Frank Gosdzic from Sodom, who helped elevate the guitar attack as well. Combined with the excellent songwriting and guitar attack from main man Millie Petroza and the highly creative and awesome drum barrages from Ventor, Kreator was really at the peak of their thrash powers at the time. Musically, Coma of Souls is about as close to thrash perfection as it gets, combining the intensity of their harder German edge with the sort of melodicism and catchiness of the Big Four bands, created the perfect combination to leave us able to go nuts in the pit, but also have the songs remain lodged deep in our psyches. The album opens with one of my favorite Kreator songs, the environmentally focused When the Sun Burns Red. And yes, even though at times Millet's lyrics can be a little preachy and cringe, making his point maybe a little too obvious at times, but overall it doesn't clash with the music or the delivery, and to be honest, I'm not really overly paying attention to the lyrics anyway. The vocal delivery works perfectly with the ripping guitars and fiery drumming. I love how the song opens with a kind of dreamlike lightness before being rudely shaken awake with the thrash fury. Absolutely killer song. Love it. One of the best opening tracks of any thrash album. The title track is another badass assault on the senses. You know, I really love all the riff variations and awesome drum patterns and changes there too. Ventor showing us what a badass he is. It's really creative and very memorable stuff from all the guys in the band. People of the Lie definitely has some of that 1990 thrash feel to it with the riffs. But of course, Millet just sounds like an unhinged lunatic shrieking over the top of it, and I think this is a song that is lyrically calling out the rise of certain neo-Nazi groups in Germany at the time, and their the band's objection to them. Another killer track, and I absolutely love it. World Beyond again showcases the band's ability to throw riff after riff at you, but also repeat riffs with many cool variations on the theme to make it interesting and exciting. I love how intense it feels when the solo kicks in there too. Everything just ramps up and kicks ass. It's fucking awesome. Terror Zone opens with doomy, brooding lines and heavy chords before settling into a more mid-paced chug while it builds. Again, they're quite progressive really in the constant moving from one idea to the next. Terror Zone feels like it has more space and room to sort of set a mood and feeling and lets you settle into the song more than some of the other tracks. It's not really the full frontal thrash attack, for most of the song as some of the other tracks are, but no less intense in its own way. That said, of course, they do finally unleash the song towards the end during the solo when it goes all the way thrash and it just kills. Awesome track. Agents of Brutality repeats the trick they play multiple times on Coma of Souls of starting the song slow and brooding before erupting into some of the tastiest and most badass thrash riffs in the game. When they get going, it's just so brutal and awesome and yet eminently catchy too in its own harsh way. Material World Propaganda has a nice showcase of Ventor's drumming to open, then to be pierced by some cool tapped guitar lines before the band erupt like a race car taking off at full speed. Lyrically, Melee seems to be sort of complaining about corporate greed or corruption and consumerism, something like that. But again, for me, it's all about the delivery, not really the lyrics, and no surprises that once again, it's totally on point in that department. Another absolutely killer track. Twisted Urges follows with some cool, dissonant, harmonized lines that introduce the unrelenting attack. When Ventor does his little drum roll around the 1 minute mark, he uses some of those high-tuned toms, which reminded me of that awesome drum sound from Pleasure to Kill, and I absolutely love the way that they sound there. It really made that album, Pleasure to Kill, sound so unique and cavernous and awesome, and sort of stand out from the crowd. So, it was cool to hear them here again, even if just for a little bit. I kind of wish he'd kept doing that going forward. But anyway, it kind of makes Pleasure to Kill more of a unique album, I guess. Hidden Dictator is cool with Rob Fioretti's bass line kicking things off and introducing the pummel, which quickly follows. Ventor, again, is a standout for me on this one. He definitely is one of my favorite thrash drummers from that era. The song slows down and we're treated to some cool lead work before the onslaught continues, and it's perfect for getting the blood pumping. And finally, Mental Slavery closes it out with another display of progressive riff ideas, interesting lead lines of melody and harmony, and Melee, of course, sounding at his unhinged best. The solo is also kick-ass here too, and another great track to wrap up the album. Coma of Souls is definitely not for the faint-hearted, and I would say really no German thrash from that era is. It's generally all harsher and more intense than their American counterparts. However, if there was ever going to be an entry point into the harsher German sound, then this is a great gateway. Harnessing an irrepressible aggression with a developing technical prowess and a songwriting ability that was honed to the sharpest of points, makes Coma of Souls not only my favorite Kreator album from a catalog of many great albums, but also, in my opinion, one of the best thrash albums of all time. So happy 32nd birthday to this legendary album, and I'm of course going to give this a perfect 10 out of 10. Anyway guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, stay metal, and see you next time.